welcome to our lecture today. My name is Jen Boscovich, for those of you who have not met me. I am a registered nurse, a holistic nutritionist, a Reiki practitioner, and spiritual healer. I have been actually in one form of meditative practice or another for over 20 years. Actually, I did the math. For about 23 years I've been meditating, which is kind of fun and surprising and crazy all at the same time. So I want to start by sharing a little bit about my background with meditation even. And I started as a high school student. I enrolled in a martial arts class, and I was taught a meditation practice called Zen meditation. And I remember feeling we were really able to work on relaxing. I remember not having negative feelings as much and more of an appreciation for the world, kind of the way that it was. But I really didn't attribute meditation towards having and living a better lifestyle. As a 16-year-old, I truly believed that that meditation was strictly to improve my keto practice. And it wasn't really until my late 20s that I had a really transformational experience with meditation. At that time, I was trying to get pregnant, and I was doing everything under the sun you could think of. I was doing Western medicine and at a fertility clinic, taking hormones and trying to get pregnant that way. I was working with a few holistic practitioners. I was doing acupuncture, and really I found the whole thing emotionally and physically exhausting and overwhelming. And one of my girlfriends said, "Hey, come to Santa Barbara, just get away for the weekend, do this meditation retreat with me." And that's where I learned heart-based meditation, which is very similar to transcendental meditation. That was 4 days that completely changed my life. And after that experience, I kind of came home and got back into the routine, was getting ready to try to go back to the fertility clinic when I found out I was pregnant. And that was a time in my cycle when it absolutely should not have happened. And short of a miracle, I gave all of the credit towards learning meditation. So these are my two little guys that I have. They're now 7 and 9. And clearly meditation has done a lot for me in my life. So I want to switch over to today's topic, which is immunity. This is a picture. I'm not sure if everyone can recognize what this is, but it is a virus, and it's the little coronavirus. The little bugger has put a lot of fear, to say the least, in a lot of humans' hearts. So, we all know that humans are social creatures, and like all social animals, we have evolved over the millennia to rely on complex social interactions. It's a vital part of our evolution, and it forms the basis of most of our societies. And with all the stringent social restrictions in place, the lockdown, we're losing really important connections, and it's coming at a high price. So I want to talk about the emotional aftermath of social distancing. A lot of people have been feeling stress, anxiety, and fear, which I think are the top 3 most common emotions that are plaguing the planet right now. But social distancing comes with sadness, depression, anger, irritability, uncertainty, boredom, loneliness, poor sleep quality, and fatigue even. And, stress, anxiety, fear, and anger, we can all agree that leaving these emotions unmanaged significantly impact our work life. It impacts the time we spend with our family. It impacts the time we spend with our friends. and the quality of time we even spend with ourselves, having these negative emotions kind of unchecked. And I'm sure most of you would agree that anxiety and stress was a major problem in our American society way before coronavirus, way before 2020. We live in a society and in a world that is always on. And that fact dramatically increases and it impacts our quality of life. Everyone knows you can't pour from an empty cup. So before we really dive into how to improve the situation, I want us to get a better understanding of what holding on to these emotions, coronavirus or not, how they impact our physical health. So when humans experience stress, especially prolonged stress, we see decreased immunity. Our immune system's ability to fight off antigens is reduced. It makes us more susceptible to infections. Then our adrenal glands, they start to release a hormone called cortisol into our bloodstream. Cortisol is known as the stress hormone. And everyone, if you know nothing else about cortisol or stress, you know that cortisol isn't good. So we don't want to see those elevated. It can cause increase in heart rate and blood pressure. We see obesity and obesity-related conditions with stress and unchecked stress, inflammation, disrupted sleep patterns, depression, anxiety. There's a lot of mental health problems that we see with chronic stress. Fatigue, cloudy thinking, exacerbated problems that are already medical problems that are exacerbated, like made worse with stress, which is going to be your irritable bowel syndrome, your post-traumatic stress disorders, and fibromyalgia. A lot of the mental health disorders are that way. When we experience chronic stress, they become a lot worse. We all know cancer, it does not fare well when we're stressed. And some studies actually have shown that we can have premature death. So let's face it, chronic stress, anxiety, and fear have a horrible effect on our physiology. Time to meditate. So study after study that has been documented that meditation is proven to reduce stress, anxiety, and fear. Meditation is proven to decrease cortisol levels. It decreases our blood pressure, and especially in the patients that have already had problems with high elevated blood pressure. And this happens after just a few weeks of regular practice. Meditation is also proven to decrease risk of myocardial infarction, or otherwise known as heart attacks. It decreases your risk of stroke, and it can normalize patients suffering from metabolic syndrome, which includes systolic blood pressure issues and insulin resistance. So meditation, just to improve physical health and our mental well-being, is very profound. MRI brain scans even show part of the brain called the hippocampus, following meditation training, says that it shows major changes that prove that we can change the way our brain works just from meditating 20 minutes every day. So Harvard has done, I love using Harvard just because people find so much credibility with their studies, and they've done countless studies with meditation. So I took a few quotes out of some of the different journals that I had read with them. So participating in an 8-week mindfulness meditation program alters how the brain processes fear. They've been able to prove that. They did probably nearly 20 studies on just fear and how to kind of work through that and how much meditation benefits. They really did a lot of studies also on mindfulness meditation, which I love because so many of the studies are under transcendental meditation, that it's nice to kind of see some other studies, other forms of meditation included in studies. They also said that it involves experiencing the present moment with an open, curious, and non-reactive mindset. Non-reactive mindset is really key to reducing stress, which we'll talk about shortly here. Meditation and relaxation response affect the brain differently. And I think that's so important to really kind of hone in on that. There are people who will sit down and watch TV and say they're relaxing, and then I hear lots of excuses on why they can't get time in for meditation. I think it's really important for us to realize that taking that chill time to watch TV is fine, but it does not have the same effects as meditation does on the brain physiology. It just isn't there. There is actually very specific things that happen when we take that time out of life to quiet our mind. And overall, participants felt less stress and anxiety, decreased fear, and clearer thinking. So I know that there's a huge team at Harvard, and they have done a lot of their studies through, they're affiliated with Mass General Hospital. So if you're curious about any of those studies, definitely check them out. You'll see them all over the internet. Even Psychology Today has a lot of really fun, cool studies if anyone's interested in checking more of that out. But there's undeniable evidence that practicing mindfulness meditation for just 8 weeks was a lot of their studies. It alters the neuron elasticity of the brain. So mindfulness training improves emotion regulation through changing the neurobiological response associated with our ability to remember the stimulus is no longer threatening. So that's really good with fear and having a less reactive and more adaptive emotional response. I love these studies with the Himalayan monks. So Harvard was a few of the lucky ones that were allowed into this, secret, distant world. And they're isolated monasteries where monks who have studied these ancient teachings and their forms of meditation, they've been doing meditation there for their entire lives. And they've obtained what Harvard referred to as supernatural abilities. So monks, meditation allows monks to raise the temperature in their fingertips by over 17 degrees. Oops, sorry about that. And these Harvard researchers, while they were there, they found that the monks were meditating in these chilly rooms, and we're talking 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And other monks, while they're meditating, would come in with sheets, like 3-foot by 6-foot sheets soaked with cold water. And they took temperatures of those also at 49 degrees. They placed them over the monks who were meditating, over their shoulders. And these monks were able to dry the sheets. They could actually see steam coming off of the monks. And ordinary people, this would produce shivering, because their bodies would just react to the cold. And scientists say that if a person's body temperature would continue to drop in these extreme conditions, that death would result. So it's kind of fascinating that these monks were not only able to just stay alive, they were able to dry off these sheets. And they don't understand how, even after all of this research and time, they don't understand in the body how that heat is generated. It's just from these deep meditative states. So it's pretty fascinating to see what these monks are able to accomplish. Through some of the testing, they were showing that they were able to lower their metabolism by 64%, which is why you'll hear stories about them meditating for a week at a time without eating. And that's because they're able to lower their metabolic rate so significantly. They were showing monks in freezing temperatures, like negative 18 degrees Celsius. And these monks were in deep meditative states, and they can survive the night only wearing the cotton shawls. So it's pretty powerful to see people who've studied meditation for their whole lives, what sorts of things they're able to accomplish. It's pretty mind-blowing. So in more realistic studies, so back to the US and us having a meditation practice, studies have proven that we're able to decrease inflammation, we're able to improve our sleep, we're able to actually, those with chronic fatigue syndrome benefit really well from meditation. They've got much higher energy levels in general. Patients with high blood pressure or hypertension will see decrease in their blood pressure, so more stable vital signs, which is great. Chronic pain, this is kind of a go-to, it's becoming a go-to even in the West. In Western medicine, they are teaching transcendental meditation for chronic pain. They've really been ramping this up over the last 5 years, and it's pretty exciting to see how much improvement our chronic pain patients have been experiencing relief. Again, a reduce in symptoms with all the stress triggered conditions. So again, your inflammatory bowel disease, your post-traumatic stress disorder, fibromyalgia, obsessive compulsive disorder, social anxiety, a lot of mental health conditions. I don't know if there's any mental health conditions that meditation can't help improve. And it gives people a more positive outlook on life. So the studies don't stop there. There are so many, there's hundreds and hundreds of studies on meditation and what all it can do, but definitely decreasing stress and having good psychological de-stress in adults, enhancing mental health and functioning, the emotion regulation and self-control, which is really important for some people, especially those who need it. Anxiety, depression, worry, and rumination all improve with meditation. The reduced instance of problem drinking and problems obviously associated with that. You'll see enhanced academic achievement in students, and that's usually due to the ability, like the improved focus and attention that it gives, which is wonderful. And improved social and relational, reduction in aggression in children, what parent doesn't want that if there's a lot of fighting at home. Reduced symptoms and burnout in employees, which we love to see. I think every workplace needs to have a meditation room. I think that would be amazing to see us kind of switch in that direction. So enhanced job performance, increased ability to cope with bullying, and enhanced resilience in children. So we love our meditation and all of the benefits. So I like to refer to meditation as mental training. There's so many benefits, obviously, from practicing meditation, and we discover more all the time. With such positive potential outcomes, the reasons not to practice meditation are really quickly evaporating. There's, for those of you who like research, there's a study that was done on transcendental meditation. It's called the Maharishi effect. There are a lot of studies like that. I could do probably a whole lecture on just some of the really fun, cool things that they've done for meditation, but that's a whole different lecture. But the Maharishi effect is definitely one to check out if you like those sorts of things. So I want to get into the different types of meditation. This is probably a brief list of the types of meditation you're going to see. Transcendental meditation, mantra, which is similar, very similar to transcendental, Zen, mindfulness, guided meditation, heart-based, 3x3, that's a newer one that people are kind of loving and glomming onto, loving kindness, compassion-based, movement, spiritual, focused, group, breath, Kundalini yoga, and progressive, or what people will refer to as body scan. And there is just something inherently hard about spending time alone with the clutter in our heads. There's internal contradictions, fears, even just old fears that seem to pop up. There's negative dialogue, and for some reason, people seem to really have this incessant need for validation when they're first learning meditation. And it's hard when you're doing nothing and sitting still and just observing your breath. And I think a lot of people really seem to tend to overthink meditation. And all it is really, it's mental training. It's not woo-woo or weird. I kind of like to refer to it as like meditation isn't necessarily something I do. It's part of my daily routine. It's kind of like going to the gym. You go to the gym for an hour every day and you work out, and that's to make your body physically stronger so you can live a better, quality of life, really. And I think that that's a lot of what meditation does. It helps you think better, it gives you better decision making, and it gives you more success in pretty much every aspect of your life. So we're going to start with mindfulness meditation. And keep in mind, guys, the type of meditation that you choose is really important. It's important to find the right type of meditation for you. So I'm going to cover a couple of the basic, the most popular ones, really. There's a wonderful book called The Art of Stopping Time. It's practical mindfulness for busy people. That's a really good book to refer to if you've tried meditation in the past and you're not ready or looking to have a teacher to help guide you and help find the right type of meditation for you. That's a really good book that I like to turn a lot of people on to. So mindfulness meditation is it is the most popular technique in the West. So you'll see a lot of the Buddhist teachings that turn people on to mindfulness meditations. And basically what that is they have you pay attention to your thoughts as they pass through your mind. And you're not supposed to really judge them or even become involved with them. It's just you're on an observer standpoint, just kind of observing the thoughts that come and go. And this practice combines concentration with awareness. And a lot of people find that it's helpful to focus on your breath when you observe any like body sensations or thoughts or feelings that come and you're just in the observer role. So I find mindfulness meditation is really good for those people who don't have a teacher to guide them, because it's so easy to start mindfulness meditation and to practice that on your own. So then we get into spiritual meditation, and this is used in a lot of Eastern religions specifically. You'll see it in Hinduism and Taoism, and even some of the Christian faith-based religions. It is similar to prayer. You reflect on the silence around you and seek clarity and connection to have a closer connection with God or the universe. And a lot of times you'll see some other things that go into spiritual meditation that are used to heighten this spiritual experience. Essential oils would be an example for that. So this one is really good. It can be practiced at home or at a place of worship. And this is beneficial. This type of meditation is going to be best for those who do really well in silence and who are seeking, obviously, spiritual growth. Focused meditation. Focused meditation concentrates on using really any of the five senses. And this one can definitely be more difficult for beginners, I've found. And it's especially if you're trying to focus more than just a few minutes at first. It's easy for your mind to wander generally in focused meditation. So this one's definitely used for more experienced meditators. And I like, this one would be, if you were going to be trying this type of technique, it would be really focusing on your breath, or mala beads is one we like to really kind of turn people on to. Gives you something to do with your hands, and you're kind of going through bead by bead, sometimes even using a mantra with that, but it gives you something to focus on, which can be nice for some. So this is a really good form of meditation. Sorry, I keep saying that. It's a really good form of meditation for those who need increased focus in their life. So if there's a lot of those random thoughts, or you feel really scatterbrained and it's harder for you to focus on things, this is a really good meditation to kind of graduate into, I think. Movement meditation. I can't tell you how many people I talk to that do much better with some form of movement. It's people who almost find peace in action, and then they can let their mind wander when they're doing something. So movement meditation is much better for those types of people. So whether it's doing yoga, walking through the woods, gardening, you'll see some people will tell you that a more gentle form of movement is better, but I have heard from so many clients, like triathletes or long distance runners, people who spend a lot of time on the mountain on a long ski run, there's a lot of them who can get into this meditative state, and that's movement and meditation. And there's still studies that support a lot of improvement in your life through the movement meditation. So I don't think that should be discounted. Some of your long-time transcendental meditation experts really kind of poo-poo movement meditation. And I think it's important to find what works for you, or you're not going to do it. And some meditation is better than no meditation. So then we get to mantra meditation. And I love mantra meditation. It's prominent in many teachings. And that's basically where you're supposed to try to relax and take some deep breaths and clear your mind. And then you use a certain phrase or a sound. A real popular one with this is Om. And you kind of repeat that over and over, like chanting. It can be said, like spoken in your head or out loud. And it helps you'll be more alert and in tune with your environment. And it allows practitioners to have a deeper level of awareness in their life. Mantra meditation is sort of how I started in meditation, and I found it really enjoyable. And a lot of people seem to find it easier to focus on a mantra than it is to focus on their breath. So I think it's a good practice for people who don't like silence, and that are okay with the repetition of the chanting. So then we get to transcendental meditation. This is the most popular form of meditation around the world and my personal favorite. It is the most studied. I think I mentioned that earlier. And basically the difference between mantra meditation and transcendental meditation is that you are given a specific mantra from a transcendental teacher. And that mantra is for you personally. And they look at your birth chart and they look at all sorts of things. So it's very, very specific to you as an individual. So using a mantra or a series of words that is specific to you. And this practice is wonderful for those who like structure and are serious about maintaining a meditation practice. and they used transcendental, actually, meditation. This was from the International Journal of Psychology. And no other form of meditation that's been studied has been found to increase and produce the alpha waves in the brain, the alpha coherence throughout the brain. And they found that the experience of transcending actually restores neurological balance and inner silence and clarity of mind. So these high power alpha waves correspond to the state of a relaxed inner wakefulness and a serenity, an expansion and bliss. The alpha waves synchronize with the rest of the brain, and the brain is more coherent and integrated. So all the different parts of communication in the brain are working together as a whole. So the basis of transcendental meditation specifically is improved mental performance, and you have much stronger judgment, better memory, more creativity, better and broader comprehension, and a sharper focus. And I think that's why in the TM world, everybody, transcendental meditation just gets all of the glory. So if I have not convinced you by now that meditation is worth introducing into your daily routine, I'm sure you can at least agree that we all need to manage the stress in our lives, because the stress is harmful to our physical health and well-being. So I like to tell people that if you're not going to be introducing meditation, that it's important to at least take a stress diet. Right now, so many people are watching the news every day and watching numbers and what the government is doing or not doing, and getting really upset about just what's happening in our world as a whole. And I think it's important, for individuals to identify the things that stress you out, identify your stressors and limit them. Turn off the TV if that's one of the stressful things in your life. Bringing mindfulness into your awareness every single day is so important. It's not only going to help you identify triggers, but it's really finding ways to be present in your current moment. And part of that is really removing distractions and multitasking. If you're cooking dinner and listening to a podcast at the same time, you're multitasking and you're not present with what's going on and what you're doing. I used to be one of those, really guilty with that. I love knowledge and learning new things. And that's one of those things where I really had to change some of my habits to become more mindful and more present every single day. And doing that makes a huge difference on stress levels. You're not slamming information in all of the time, and it really helps you slow down. I think that's one opportunity that lockdown has given us, is the opportunity to kind of take our fast-paced lives and take a step back a little bit and take a breather and really look at some of the things and habits we've been doing. A gratitude practice is also amazing for reducing stress. Gratitude practice, again, is a whole separate lecture. But even if you take a minute out of every day and you're going to list off a couple of things that you're grateful for, even patients in severe depression, if they can come up with one thing they're grateful for, even if that's the sun came up today, then studies have shown that it improves the quality of their emotions and their mental health by just practicing that one simple little thing every day. Movement is also amazing for reducing stress levels. And if you're not a gym goer, that's okay. If you're not going to go exercise or run for an hour every day, that's no big deal. Move, walk. Some people will even get on a yoga mat. You don't have to do yoga. What is it referred to as? Dr. Mat. You just get on the mat and move and let your body move and do what it feels like doing. And if that's stretching, or not doing much at all, just really gentle, light movements, that's okay. And of course, I'm promoting meditation to reduce stress. There is this old Zen saying that says, they recommend sitting and meditating for 20 minutes every day, unless you're too busy. Then you should sit for an hour. And that saying cracks me up because in ways it's kind of true. With the benefits of meditation, it gives you so much more clarity and mental focus that you get things done faster, you get through things easier. You're not spending as much time thinking or getting frustrated over certain things. And that saying's so funny, and most people don't do that, but it is very true. So starting a meditation practice is really easy. There's lots of different ways to do this, but kind of a general consensus, a general, thing that we tell new beginners is to just sit and focus on your breath. That would be your breath, or if you really like the idea of a mantra, or, just Om, or a certain word that you find that brings you inner peace. A lot of people, I always recommend setting a timer at the beginning, 5 to 10 minutes, and grow from there. And, I've worked with patients and clients who can't even sit for 5 minutes. That's okay. If you can sit for 2 minutes, that's better than doing absolutely no meditation, because you can always add to it. We'll tell you, start the timer at 5 to 10 minutes. This is a general thing for people, and just add a minute a day. Or if the 5 to 10 minutes you find really difficult, add a minute a week. Again, remember, something is better than nothing. And we usually recommend meditating, making a commitment, 100-day commitment, because at the end of that 100 days, you're going to notice how much different your emotional body and your mental clarity is, that you won't stop meditating. And, the 8 weeks, I love. The 12 weeks, I love. I think it's amazing that you can see so many changes on an MRI or just through the studies, but really committing to it for 100 days, I think that it's going to prove itself to you. You're not going to have any question on whether it's working. Meditation is very similar to homeopathic medicine in the fact that sometimes the changes are subtle, but they're permanent and they're long-term, and you're not going to slide back. And that part is absolutely amazing. And some practitioners will also suggest that you break up your meditation practice, that you can do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. It's really what's going to work for you is what I think the key is definitely committing to something that you're able to do. So saying I can sit down and do 20 minutes every day, that's too much of a commitment for some people. And that's okay. If it's 3 minutes every morning and you can set your alarm early every morning, consistency is going to be the key to help keep you going. So 20 minutes per day is all you need to rewire your brain. And that's really what all of the studies show. But again, just keep doing it. There really is no wrong way to meditate, and there's no failure in meditation. And I think it's important too, for a lot of people, to try to let go of your story. If your story is, I just can't do it, my mind is too busy, or I don't have the time, it's really, there's no do or do not. Just get started. It will really benefit you, and it will be worth your time. So the state of no mind, this is really what we're all trying to achieve when we meditate. It's the state where your thoughts are not invading your consciousness, and when they do, you redirect. And one of my teachers was Paul Douglas, and he teaches heart-based meditation. And he was actually, he's been a meditator for I think like 30 or 40 years, and he's been involved in many of the studies that they've done back east with transcendental meditation and heart-based meditation, and where they would go in and monitor your vital signs and your EEG, which is the brain wave activity, and just kind of see what happens. And he went into meditation. He'd done a series of tests with them. And one of his last sessions in there, he's like, oh man, that was such a terrible meditation. I had all of these thoughts intruding my mind, and I couldn't get into the groove today. I'm sorry. He was really apologetic. And they're like, look at your brainwave activity and look at your vital signs. The EEG showed that he had gotten into a deeper meditation that time when his brain was clouded with all these thoughts, and he's fighting against it and staying in his meditative state and kept going back to his mantra, than any of the other times when he absolutely cleared his mind. So again, I love sharing that story because it's just a good reminder to not get stuck in your head and not convince yourself that it's not working. If you're taking that time, even if it's not a clear mind or no mind, if that's your intention and you always go back to that, it can be pretty powerful. So I wanted to, this is a quick list. There are so many books on meditation, but if you're really science-minded, I put in Sam Harris, Waking Up. He is a neuroscientist and is really kind of against all the woo-woo stuff and still really promotes meditating. And then I have some other really cool people who really expand the boundaries of meditation and what it can do. There are lots of apps nowadays. Love technology with this stuff. Headspace and Calm. Those are really the top two. The owner of Headspace has books out. There's some really cool stuff. So if guided meditations might be better for you, definitely check out some of these apps. I'm loving all of the resources that we have today. So how to know if you're meditating correctly. So really what meditating is, kind of the point for a lot of people, is to plug into that inner wisdom and that inner knowledge and guidance that's there to help carry you throughout your day with much more ease. So after you've meditated, if you have to stop and think, even just for a second, if you're like, wait, what did I have to do today? What was I getting done afterwards? Where you can tell that you mentally went somewhere, that's a really good indication that you're meditating correctly. Also, just an overall sense of feeling more relaxed, feeling more whole. Some people will see that they're a lot less reactive, like, oh man, this girl at work used to upset me all the time. Or, my ex-girlfriend, when she calls, I just get ticked off every time. Just hearing her voice triggers me. And wow, I'm a lot more calm now. And you're right, this, is making me a more calm Zen person. You're going to know that you're seeing benefits from meditation and that you're meditating correctly. And I like Light Watkins. He has a quote, it's not establishing the new habit of meditation, it's breaking the habit of all of those years of not meditating. And I think that's just kind of fun. It's a nice way to look at it and maybe start incorporating meditation into your daily routine. And I look at it like brushing my teeth. So in summary, stress, anxiety, and fear, they weaken our immune system, and they really start having a major impact on our bodies physically and mentally. And meditation is proven to help improve our immunity. Choosing the right type of meditation, whether you're looking to reduce stress or find spiritual enlightenment, find stillness or flow through movement, there is a meditation practice for you. So please don't give up. I I can't tell you how many conversations just this week I had with some patients when we were talking about doing this lecture. I said, I just can't do it. Then you're not choosing the right form of meditation, which is so important to just learn about the different types of meditation that are out there and offered to you. And don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and try new types of meditation. So it often takes some trial and error to find what fits you, but be consistent and you will see maximum benefits. So that's all I specifically have for you today. I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to stop my screen share and we can take questions. Dr. Nario is here with us too. And if there's any questions, even outside of meditation, just based on immunity, Dr. Nario and I are both here to address any of those questions. So again, thank you all for joining me today. It was lovely to have you here, and I hope you have, you're totally convinced to start meditating every day because it's good for you. So let's see. All right, so I have the chat too if you have any questions. Let's see, I'm trying to make sure I can see everybody here. Should meditation vary to avoid repetition and/or routine? And do the same techniques work? All right, so that's a very good question. I think that if you find a type of meditation that works for you, that you're going to do consistently, the same type of meditation is okay. I've been doing a mantra-based meditation I would say for about 11 years now. And I think I've done other types of meditations. I've gone into guided meditations and I've tried movement meditations, which I do enjoy. I enjoy those and I'll put them in sometimes if I'm feeling bored. But I look forward to my time meditating with the mantra. I find so much peace and calmness in my day. So I really enjoy that. So I think that if you find one you're going to stick with and be consistent with, that's way more beneficial to you, and stick with the same one, 20, 30 years. It's totally okay. So questions about transcendental meditation. Do you renew or chant as you grow? And does the leader give you one for life? It's a great question. The way that it's worked for me is that I've had the same meditation for life. I think that it can change and evolve. And if it does, and when it does, because I think it often will, I tend to see practitioners, I've talked to some other TM teachers about this, and we do that on our own. It's really interesting. So I think you need a teacher to get you started and to give you your initial mantra and chant, but then after some time it does evolve, and sometimes it comes back to what it was originally. And I really think when you tap into that innate wisdom and your inner guidance, it will take you on that journey on its own. So I hope that answers your question. That's a really great question. Hi, Anya, nice to see you. Do I recommend a TM instructor to help you get a mantra? So actually there is a couple of local TM instructors that are wonderful. I really like the heart-based meditation is it .com or .org? I should have written that down. He might be .org. That's Paul Douglas, one of my teachers, and he works on a donation-based. TM is one of those forms of meditation that, to get accredited, they charge a lot of money, and then they end up charging a lot. And I think spending $3,000 to learn meditation is ridiculous. And that's what you'll find with a lot of the TM instructors. So when And heart-based meditation is literally the exact same thing. It's called something different, so he doesn't have to charge the $3,000 to teach you how to meditate. He works online on Zoom, and I can help take you guys through any of that or get you in contact with him too. So please reach out. It should be heartbasedmeditation.org. And Paul Douglas is who I would recommend. I have other people who are closer. A lot of them work on Zoom and do it through Zoom. That's the next question. Can we do it through Zoom? Absolutely. I learned in person, but a lot of my advanced meditation classes have all been on Zoom. And I think it's a wonderful platform for that, for learning meditation. And thoughts on meditation and cancer, any studies? Yes, actually, there have been, I should have included some of those studies in here. I'm sorry I didn't. And when I repeat this lecture, I will do that for you guys. I think there is quite a few studies just by Harvard alone with how much meditation has improved cancer. Cancer, they separated some of the studies with just pain, but that, pain from cancer is that chronic pain that it's hard to get control of, and it's hard to mentally wrap your brain around that. So there are some fabulous studies out there. I will get some of that information and make sure I have it in the clinic for those of you who I see, and definitely have it for the next time we do this lecture. Ooh, I love this question. Do your children meditate? How long and often do you meditate on any given day? Is there a time and day that is more favorable to meditate? Okay, I love this. So yes, to answer the first part of that, my children do meditate. My children, what we did when they were really young is I had them, we would always lay down on a bunch of pillows or blankets, and they always had to have a stuffed animal. My older son hated stuffed animals as a little guy, and so we used a ball for him. So it really depends on their personality, but something that they can set on their belly. And so I started them meditating around 3 and 4. And we would just lay down for just a couple of minutes. They say a minute per year of age, kind of like the timeout thing. It's a minute per year of age, until they're about 8 to 10, depending on maturity, and they can start more of a different meditative practice. So what I would do when they were really young, we'd lay down, we'd lay a stuffed animal on our bellies, we'd call them belly buddies. And our job for 3 minutes was to watch our belly buddy breathe up and down. And I will tell you, I was not very consistent with it when they were little, at first, because they were boys and they have high energy, and sometimes it took a lot for me. I felt like I had to wrangle the wild horses. But I will tell you, when I started being more consistent with it, when my little one was about 5, I noticed a huge difference in even just their sleep quality and their attention at school. I noticed just a huge difference. So we're very consistent with it now. We do take meditation time before bed, like when they're doing, that's part of their bedtime routine. And then every Sunday night, we do a guided meditation together, and they'll do a full 20 minutes once a week. They do 20 minutes. Usually they're about 10 minutes right now. And my kids are 7 and just turned 10. And is there a time of day? Okay, I think I answered that. And there a time of day that's more favorable to meditate? I think everybody's different on the time of day for meditating. I meditate twice every day, and I get up. I literally get up and use the restroom because I always have a full bladder. And then I sit back down next to my bed and meditate for 20 minutes before I do anything else. And I always do that as part of my bedtime routine as well. I do 20 minutes before bed. And that is a lot. That's a lot for some people. And then I know other meditation teachers who won't do anything without meditating for at least an hour every day, sometimes an hour in the morning and at night. So I think that honestly, whatever time of day is going to work for you and your lifestyle and your schedule. And maybe that's broken up 3 times a day. You take some slow breaths, focus on your breathing for 3 minutes. And if that's what you've got, that's better than not doing it. So I think that's pretty important too. Thank you, guys. These are great questions. Do we have any other questions in the chat? Do you have a room specific for it, and what's in the room? So that's a good question. So I think, and I'll tell you, there's really mixed philosophies on this. I truly believe that anyone should be able to meditate anywhere. Because when I first started doing it, I hated being anywhere that was noisy. I wanted it totally quiet. And that is absolutely impossible in the world we live in. I would try to meditate outside and the airplane noises would bother me at first, or, I'd hear dogs barking. And I think part of it is really, like I said earlier, getting out of your head space with that mental chatter. I get too distracted. That's part of it at the beginning. You're going to get distracted. And then part of it is refocusing and just coming back to your breath or back to your mantra. That really helps a lot. There are practitioners that like to meditate in the same space. So you don't necessarily have to have a room for it. But I do have what a lot of people refer to as a meditation altar. So I have a little shelf, a little stand. It's got a few shelves on it. And I have a Buddha on there. I have some sound bowls. I have incense. If I have more time, or at night, if it's been a really stressful day, I like to add that little piece, if it's essential oils or lighting something that smells really nice and calming, to just help pull my other senses down. So the meditation is it's a deeper meditation and more beneficial for me. I have a few crystals, and did I say a statue of Buddha? I have a little Buddha statue, as I love my Buddha. And it is a very calming area for me to be. I also have, these are mala beads. If some of you have seen me wear these. If I've had a really bad day, or I'm working through something specifically, I love meditating with mala beads. It's kind of the same thing. You use an Om, but then you say it over and over again for the beads. And some people will do the whole strand, and if you're needing a lot of meditation, the whole strand back. So it's a fun tool to work with, especially if you need something else tactile to focus on. So I hope that answers your question. But a lot of people do like a set space, because their body tends to know, those who really support that, their body tends to know going to that space every day where it's time to sit down and meditate. And I have a special pillow that I sit on, and my body knows when I sit on that pillow in this space, like, we go in right away. It's pretty easy once you get into that routine. Are there any sites where a beginner can experience an introduction to various types of meditation? Are there any studies addressing the value of having degree parties meditating together? Yes. Okay. Yes, actually, these are awesome. So that one book that I mentioned, where is it? The Art of Stopping Time is probably a really good book for us to start with. That's going to talk about helping you find the right meditation for you. There are a lot of studies actually that talk about having group meditations and having more than one person, just 2 people, and how much that can amplify the experience. It'd be really interesting for you to look up the Maharishi effect, and we don't have enough time to get into all of that, but it talks about getting a certain percent of the population to meditate and how crime rates dropped. And they did this and repeated this study over and over again. And collective meditation is incredible. And there's even some sites, I have to look for it. It might be globalmeditation.com. I'll have to look, where they have, well, there's different groups of people who do meditations, like around the moon cycles and stuff like that. But then there's also this one website where they try to have like a global meditation. They did that for the coronavirus in April. I think it was on April 4th. There was something with astrology, and they had like everyone who is in the meditating world got emails about this, and they had the entire world, depending on your time zone, it was all mapped out, and they had them all meditating together at the same time. And that was a pretty powerful meditation, and pretty exciting to see. So I love that question. And what scents are most helpful? Really, so again, I think that can be kind of personal, but they say frankincense is the most, frankincense is the highest vibrational essential oil. So that's one go-to a lot of meditators will use and start with. I like sage, just burning sage, or even sandalwood. I have it across my room. I should have had it closer to show you guys. But you can just light a little sage, even white sage, or incense, that's going to just kind of clears the air and gets you into that mindset of meditating. So those are some really good ones. Some of my favorite ones to start with, and it's a personal choice too. You'll find what really works for you best, I think. So do we have any other questions? All right, you guys, I don't see any other questions, and we're kind of there on time. So I want to thank you all for joining me today, and I hope to see you all soon in the clinic. Thank you, guys.